What's poppin', y'all? A$AP Rocky actually did it, and that is dropping an album. Now, I've had a lot to say about A$AP Rocky in the past year and a half, so I will reserve everything for a separate video on what I think about this album, because I have yet to listen to it, and that's why I will be avoiding most of the comments in case anybody tries to, give their opinions on the album here. I need to come into this clean. But in the promotion for this album, he decided to hop on with Akademiks, and there was a preview clip that would later turn into a full interview that's going to come out between them. And I'm going to play that clip for you guys right now. And A$AP Rocky delivers some interesting praise towards Akademiks and also some unwarranted criticism, but I think is good feedback if you expand on it a little bit.
Just thinking to myself, like, yo, it's crazy that, like, before, like me, like Tyler, like, before we get up, it ain't no shade room. It ain't da-da-da-da-da. Not taking nothing away from the shade room. Shout out to them. Like, we looking at what act about to talk about. Bro, I know that the game could get stale, and I know that it, like I said, it evolves, revolves. And I know that people think your heyday is when there was a lot of Chicago drill beef going on, but like, show us what you listening to, bro. Show us what you like today. Show us what we should be listening to. You a tastemaker. That's why we look to you. You know what I'm saying?
No, I appreciate that. And that's a valid, I think.
So here, one thing that he did is he's talking exactly like Tyler, the Creator. Now, Akademiks said that he had a conversation with Tyler, the Creator, and Tyler was saying in a different interview why he felt a certain type of way because Akademiks never posted him. And he felt like because Akademiks didn't really post him, he didn't feel like he got validated as a rapper because he's like, yo, when I'm thinking hip hop pages, he's like, I wake up every day and the first thing I check is Akademiks. And A$AP Rocky here is saying something similar. So this is, I get where they're coming from, because let's say you're an A$AP Rocky, let's say you're a Tyler, the Creator, and people will be like, yo, these guys are rappers, they must be so plugged in, tapped in. Not really. So you have two options. You either have someone on your team or someone close to you. Think of a Lil Yachty to a Drake that has the pulse on everything and is paying attention to what's going on. And even for a Yachty, it's difficult because you got to think of the lives of these guys. They're either touring, recording, working on something else. Tyler has golf, he has other things that he's doing, shows as in maybe like some fashion show, maybe something else that he's doing, as well as A$AP Rocky. He's got family, he's got multiple kids, he's got whatever Rihanna's going, he's traveling consistently, he's designing things himself with Ray-Ban, at least that is, and on top of that he also had a legal case that he was dealing with. So you need a buffer. You need somebody that's going to let you know, yo, what's hot in what I'm working on, which is rap, because he needs to make sure he knows what's hot there. So going to Akademiks, you're really going to get the pulse of what's hot, because Akademiks, he even says, he's like, yo, I'm not posting these underground dudes. Get popping, get lit, and then you're going to start seeing me talking about you. So it makes sense that if they're like, all right, I want to see what's going on in hip hop, they go to Akademiks page. And it makes sense that they wouldn't go to the shade room, because it's like, what are they really going to find in the shade room? And he says, yo, I really want to see what you're listening to. And this is how I know he's not that tapped in, which is okay and understandable. Because if you wanted to see what Akademiks is listening to, you would just go to the beginning of any Akademiks stream. Anywhere from, now this is where you really, really have to be tapped in. You're basically only like one of the closest Akademiks followers if you know this, because, not if you know this, if you pay attention to this, because previously Akademiks was on Twitch. He got permanently banned on Twitch for the incident last year involving the moderator, Noor, of Plaqueboy Max, that was 15 years old. He was asking him inappropriate stuff. I wouldn't say they blew it out of proportion because it was wild what he did. However, they tried to make it seem like Akademiks was into a young boy, which was definitely not the case. He was just inappropriate. Definitely wasn't into the kid. With that being said, that got him permanently banned. Before that, a lot of people watched Akademiks on Twitch, and on Twitch you can play music. Like, they have some licensing deal and they just mute it afterwards. But now he's mainly streaming on YouTube and Facebook, and I think Rumble still he might co-stream there, and Kick. Kick is the least used platform. So he will go live first on Kick, and he will stream 30, 40 minutes of music or something like that, maybe even an hour, and then he'll go live on the other platforms. But the majority of people, including me, watch him on YouTube because Kick is just inconvenient. Unless you're Aiden Ross or maybe two other streamers, I'm not really opening up Kick, or you're only streaming on Kick. So that's how somebody would get a read on what Akademiks is listening to. And A$AP Rocky, he's clearly not really plugged in like that. He's probably catching stream clips of Akademiks, maybe YouTube videos that are cut down from his stream. And I don't expect A$AP Rocky to be paying attention to this, because even me, I'm not paying attention to this like that, because like I'm really looking at like, okay, what's Akademiks streaming about? I'm probably maybe catching a replay on YouTube, which would have the music out anyway, and you catch the strikes live on YouTube if you're playing music, unlike Twitch. So that's why that is. And the thing is, 2 songs I know for sure that Akademiks put a lot of support into, and a lot of people discovered them from his Twitch streams, was Last by Burna Boy. And I know the international crowd, especially my UK heads, especially my Niger boys that are in the chat, that are in the comment section, and also maybe some Europeans are like, man, Last was huge before Akademiks ever listened to it. 100%, you are correct. Absolutely. I even heard Last before Akademiks, but that was because of a friend of mine from London that put me on to the song. But when I'm talking about US hip-hop audience that follows Akademiks, many of them discovered Burna Boy through Akademiks repeatedly playing that song every single stream. It's like, not clockwork, it's like radio play. There was also this Skillabang song, I believe, who's a Jamaican artist. He was playing him a lot too. Now, A$AP Rocky is correct, because he's telling Ak like this is a temperature check, where it's like, yo, I'm tuned into your page. Now, I'm not super plugged in like one of your chat guys, which is like a couple thousand people, maybe like 10,000, let's say, or so. If we're talking about concurrent viewers, like people that unique viewers, they may not be watching every single stream, but like, let's say over a week, there are 10,000 that are going to be watching the intro where Akademiks plays a bunch of music, where he kind of DJs. I'm outside of those 10,000 people, but I'm interested to see what you're listening to. So why don't you just put it in a playlist, which I think Akademiks has a playlist, but why don't you just make it something that you're more vocal about? And I think this is a very good feedback that Akademiks should take. Because Akademiks, and I don't know why he didn't reply with this. Maybe he does reply a little bit later in the clip, but sometimes Akademiks has this habit, and I think this is when because Akademiks is amazing at monologuing. He's amazing at his job. His job is to talk. So when he's in an interview setting, he is not a good interviewer. Now, some people will say, well, Vlad overtalks his interviewer. Well, Vlad architects the exact structure of his interview. So whenever someone deviates, he's going to interrupt them and bring him back, or he's going to interrupt them to move it along to whatever answers he wants, because he's thinking about it a different way. With Akademiks, sometimes it feels like he's waiting for the other person. He's trying to burst to talk instead of responding to what the person is saying. And you know, he can't have every skill, right? He's amazing at what he does. So hopefully he does address that and says like, yo, I actually do listen to, or I actually do show a bunch of the music that I listen to in my streams, but I hope he takes it as feedback to just maybe post about it more on his page, because you're listening to that music anyway. It's your intro music, but there's so few of your audience that's even watching the intro, because for them to catch the intro, they would have to have Kick, and they would have to have the notifications on for you on Kick, because that's when you're starting it up. And how many people have that? Very few. But how many people use Akademiks as a pulse of what's going on and would like to know what he's listening to see what's popping or hot, or just generally what his music taste is? That's a much bigger number, in the hundreds of thousands, I would say. A$AP Rocky also makes a good point and says like media can get stale when you're just focusing on like what happened, which is like Chicago drill, or I would say more so people are reminiscing now on 2017, 2018 6ix9ine era, 6ix9ine SoundCloud era, more so than Chicago drill era. But yeah, when we're talking about what's next, I think this is difficult, because Akademiks does react to a lot of drama, but that's really most of what's going on, and that drives a lot of the music. It's just that we had drama and controversy and beef, and music was attached to it, and now it feels like there isn't much music attached to any of these things. And it feels like this is a broader conversation, but a lot of songs now feel like they're the background music of a TikTok trend that is part of some movement, or I don't even really know, man. Like a lot of this is just difficult to see where music is going because there aren't a lot of scenes. It's very fragmented. There are some scenes that go really deep. Like, for example, like let's say you go down the Two Hollis rabbit hole and there's the other guy like something RO something, and then there's maybe 15 to 25 artists down that rabbit hole, and then there's another rabbit hole with a ton of rappers, and those guys aren't really rappers, but you guys get my drift. So it's difficult to keep in line with what's going on music wise because there's so many different like subgenres. But I think this is where it becomes more personalized, and maybe Akademiks just shows what he's messing with. And what he's messing with is a little bit more like kind of like what's getting into the mainstream, because it's not just rap. Like Burna Boy wasn't rap. Like some of the like Skillabang, he's not really rap like that. So he does have a bit of a diverse taste outside of hip hop. I guess you don't want to call it diverse because it doesn't span many genres. But I think this is some good feedback from A$AP Rocky, and I am a bit surprised that he's that tapped into Akademiks and giving him that much credit, especially knowing what the perception is of Akademiks, which is just generally hated. It's just because I think a lot of people do follow Akademiks and pay attention to what he says. They're just not vocal about their support because the haters are so loud. So they're like, yo, I mess with this guy, but they just quietly mess with him because why shout it from the rooftops when the haters are just going to flood anyway? But I'm really interested to see the rest of this conversation. Let me know what you guys think about it so far. When the full thing comes out, I'll probably maybe do a little bit of a dive on that. But tomorrow, I'm probably just going to go for a long walk and listen to A$AP Rocky's album probably multiple times. Yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.